hello everyone. I'm Gina. I'm the president of ALN Technology. We bring AI software-based solutions to companies just like yours. And in this environment of AI that we're in, a big part of our role is consulting, the consultative side of deciding which problems to solve, deciding how to utilize AI in the best way possible to create efficiencies in your organizations. So my history, I spent 6 years as a nuclear engineer in the Navy. And then the last decade or so, I've spent in the semiconductor industry on the hardware side. And now I'm on the software side, and I'm so excited to be here. So thanks for joining me today. We are going to talk about data privacy and security surrounding AI, specifically for LLMs. So what is an LLM? It's a large language model. And I'm going to start with actually referencing a McKinsey article that was released last week. And it referenced 3 years. We are 3 years to obsolescence for any technology, media, and telecommunications company that is not properly effectively utilizing AI tools. They're 3 years from obsolescence. So it's a really interesting article. I posted it a couple days ago. I highly suggest it as a good read. But it's staggering, and it's also not surprising, because the rate at which AI is advancing everything that we do, it is significant. It's like I said, shocking, but also not surprising. So it's important for companies to keep up, to make sure that we're educating ourselves, and to make sure that we are understanding how we can best utilize AI in our organizations in order to not get left behind. So training of LLMs is really integral to the data privacy and security discussion. So I'm just going to briefly describe how this works and what it looks like. There are vast databases that train these LLMs. So Common Crawl and is terabytes of raw web data. Then there's tokens from this raw web data. There's Wikipedia, there's C4, there's Roots. There's all these different massive databases that train the natural language processing of the LLM. And from here, it depending on the model and depending on the LLM that you're using, it can be real-time user data trained, which is the case for ChatGPT, which I'll get into in a little bit. But there's these massive amounts of data. So one thing to be really, really cognizant of is that because there's bias in our everyday lives and our everyday language, and that is what is training these models, there's inherent bias in the model. So this is a topic I will touch on more in depth in another LinkedIn Live session. Not for today, but really important to understand that that is the case. And the different methods of training these models will determine how secure your data is inside of these models. So let's jump into the different types. So there's open source models, and there's closed source, or what we'll call proprietary models. So the open source models, Llama is an example of an open source model. This is a collaborative environment. You're gonna have more customizable. It's gonna be more customizable, more auditable. You're going to be able to. The level of transparency, because it's accessible to all, is a great way to understand how your data is being processed. However, the nature of the open source LLM makes it more vulnerable from a data security perspective. So from a proprietary LLM type solution, think OpenAI, ChatGPT, OpenAI owning ChatGPT. This is a proprietary model. So it's one company that created and owns it. So it is created for speed and efficiency. It is very, the user interface is really intuitive, and the it's clean, right? It's a more clean way, but the transparency of it is essentially a black box. So when your data goes in, you having the ability to influence, alter, or fully understand how the data is being processed, it's not available to you. So this is important if we are relying on the analysis and the output of these LLMs to conduct our business. So I'm getting more messages that you guys still can't see me. So I apologize for the lack of liveness here, but maybe when I stop recording, it will upload at that point. So I'm going to keep going. So we've talked about open source. We've talked about the proprietary models. So when it comes to data security and privacy for a proprietary model, so the way that ChatGPT is trained is it's trained on incoming user data. So it's trained on these vast amounts of huge libraries of data information. And then as individual A, goes and puts in information, whether it's a prompt, whether it's company information or analytics, or I want it to help me prepare a presentation or send an email. When I put that information in, as individual users signed up for a general ChatGPT account, it's using that data to train the model. So 3 weeks later, if customer B comes and puts in a prompt to request information that I have input as customer A, because it trained that model, individual B, the person who goes and asks for that information 3 weeks down the road, could get verbatim what I entered into the system. So you, for your company, for your employees, if you have individual employees using their own personal ChatGPT accounts and going and putting in company data, if they have not disabled their chat history, that is training the model. So the way to stop this is to disable chat history. So if you have a company policy surrounding use of specifically ChatGPT, but other AI tools, I'm just using that as an example, it needs to be a requirement that they disable their chat history. Otherwise, anything they put in is going to train the model, and it can be reproduced by anyone who is prompt engineering savvy enough to get the information out. From a business perspective, if you have a business account, the way that those accounts are set up is that data is not going to train the model. So you don't have to worry about competitor B coming in with their business account and prompt engineering to get your confidential company information out. However, it's really important to understand that just because it's not training the model, it's still being logged and stored by the company that owns the model, in this case, OpenAI. So it's, I think in the last decade or so, we've gone through a real revolution of understanding how data is used by companies. And so knowing that your data is logged and stored by a third-party company, and that in the future, it's at their discretion of how they use that data, how they sell that data, how they manipulate that data. So it's something to definitely keep in mind. So the other thing I want to talk about is what I'm going to call an enterprise model. So an enterprise model, technically, it's RAG is the acronym, retrieval augmentation. So when we talk about retrieval augmentation, you have a pre-trained, already hosted LLM that you are taking for your company's use. You're taking your proprietary confidential company data, and you're using that to train this existing LLM. The reason why this is the enterprise solution versus going and creating your own company's LLM for your own company's personal use, the hardware required, the expertise required, it's millions of dollars. It's wildly expensive NVIDIA GPUs. It's extremely specific, talented, it was scarce engineering talent to train and develop the LLMs. So the enterprise solution is not really creating your own LLM for the vast majority of companies. It's utilizing what is available and it's sectioning it off. So you section off your, at the physical layer, you're using the existing LLM and you are creating and training it on your own company's data. And in order to do this, because it's novel data for the LLM, because it's not seen it before in most cases. So there you have to use machine learning graphs and that are going to then augment the prompts to provide useful data. It really, you have to there's a process of training the pre-trained LLM on your specific data so that it can have a holistic understanding and connect the dots in regards to your specific company's information. So it's giving you more fine-tuned, more tailored, more intelligent, creating more intelligent analysis, responses, content that is specific to the data that you are putting in. From a data privacy and security aspect, this is the most secure, even internal to your organization, because with this type of a solution, you can, just like, so in the military, you have a security clearance, and that tells you at what level of information you can have access to. This is sort of the same thing. So you get pre-authorized, individuals within your organization will be pre-authorized to have access to certain levels of information. So if you are needing analysis on highly sensitive confidential information for your company that even your own employees should not have access to, you can section that off within this type of enterprise solution so that only certain individuals with the approved and proper authority have access to certain types of data. With that being said, and this is a topic for a different day as well, the amount of data required for this type of solution and the organization of that data is really extensive to execute this type of enterprise solution. So, and it's interesting when you look at a solution like this, because you have data scientists that are the ones that can organize and gather the correct data, but then you have the executives that are the ones that are identifying the problem to solve. And in many cases, in many organizations, there's a disconnect between the data gathered and how it's organized and the intricacies and the specific nature of the problem that's trying to be solved. So this is something that we see pretty commonly as well. There's a challenge with this type of solution, but from a data privacy and security perspective, this is going to give you the most secure option. So thank you so much for joining me today. This was a high-level overview. I wanted to keep it brief, and hopefully you guys can see it. It sounds like you weren't able to see it live, but I'm going to sign off now, and hopefully it uploads, and you guys can watch it here just a couple minutes later. So thank you all so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very soon, again on LinkedIn Live, hopefully live next time. Bye, everybody.